What if loneliness isn't a void, but a secret doorway to discovering your truest self? Can silence and solitude be the very things that reconnect you to your strength? Here are 7 timeless Stoic truths that will forever change the way you see being alone and transform loneliness into your greatest power. People often say that loneliness is an emptiness, a void that needs to be filled with conversations, attention, or the presence of someone else. But what if I told you that loneliness is not a sign of lack, but a gift, a chance for you to pause, to look deep within yourself, and to discover a strength you never realized you had? Stoicism does not teach us to escape loneliness, nor does it see it as a misfortune. Instead, it views it as a challenge, an opportunity to forge inner resilience. Once you understand this, loneliness is no longer something to fear. It becomes a space for growth, a state in which you learn to be truly free without depending on anyone else. And that is why today I want to share with you the most important lessons about loneliness, truths that can forever change the way you see it. These are not abstract theories but lived experiences, profound insights that Stoicism has helped me understand. So take a moment, focus, don't skip any part, because this might be the very moment you realize the truth that Stoicism has taught for thousands of years. Let's begin. Truth 1. Loneliness is a reflection of your mindset. Have you ever felt lonely in a room full of people or scrolled through hundreds of faces on social media, only to sense an emptiness that nothing seems to fill? We often think loneliness is a consequence of our circumstances, that if we had more friends, a deeper love, or a family that truly understood us, it would disappear. But is that really the case? According to Stoicism, loneliness is not a problem of circumstances but a reflection of your mind. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." People don't suffer because of what happens to them, but because of how they interpret it. So, if loneliness doesn't stem from the outside world but from your perception of reality, then perhaps the only thing you need to change isn't your surroundings, it's your own thoughts. Imagine someone stranded on a deserted island. They might feel abandoned, forgotten, and sink into despair. But others, like the explorer Alexander Selkirk, survived alone for 4 years and didn't break. Instead, they used solitude to sharpen their intellect, hone their survival skills, and gain a deeper understanding of themselves. So, where does the difference lie? It lies in how we perceive our situation. Is it a tragedy? Or is it an opportunity? You may not be trapped on an island, but have you ever felt trapped in your own life? Technology connects us more than ever before, yet paradoxically, it makes us feel more distant. Modern life pushes us into an endless cycle of seeking validation from others, making us forget that real fulfillment doesn't come from the number of people around us. It comes from how we connect with ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." If you cannot find peace within yourself, then no crowd will ever make you feel less alone. So how do we shift this mindset? How do we turn loneliness into an ally rather than an enemy? First, understand that loneliness is not a curse. It is an opportunity. It is like the night sky, frightening to those unfamiliar with it, but also the time when the universe reveals its most profound wonders. Use moments of solitude to truly look within yourself. What are you afraid of? What are you running from? And more importantly, what are you searching for? Second, instead of letting loneliness consume you, use it to grow. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. But what if no one is around? Then make friends with the greatest minds through books. Fill your mind with powerful ideas, philosophies that expand your world." When your mind is nourished, loneliness is no longer a fear. It becomes fertile ground for wisdom and self-discovery. Third, remember that loneliness is not a sign of failure. It is a part of the journey. Throughout history, countless geniuses have experienced long periods of solitude. Nature, Van Gogh, Emily Dickinson, they used isolation as a beacon for creativity and insight. If they could transform loneliness into strength, why can't you? And finally, take action. Loneliness is not a life sentence. It is an invitation to reconnect with yourself and the world in a deeper way. If you feel lost, instead of seeking validation from others, create value for the world. Help someone, learn a new skill, try something you've never done before. Loneliness only has power if you let it control you. But if you choose to use it, it can become a powerful tool for personal growth. Loneliness isn't about how many people surround you. It's about whether you are truly connected with yourself. And once you shift your perspective, you'll realize that, like the sunrise after a long night, loneliness can bring light if you know how to embrace it. When we stop searching for something to fill the emptiness and begin accepting loneliness as a natural part of life, we discover something profound. Loneliness is not a void to be filled, but a space to understand ourselves more deeply. It is not an absence but an invitation to return to ourselves, to explore our thoughts, emotions, and values. And perhaps in those moments of seeming isolation, we may find the most authentic path to truly knowing and completing ourselves. Let's walk this path and discover it together. Truth 2. Solitude as a path to self-discovery. Imagine a serene, undisturbed lake. When the water is still, it perfectly reflects the world above. But when ripples disturb the surface, everything becomes distorted and unclear. The human mind operates in much the same way. When drowned in the noise of life, we struggle to see ourselves clearly, let alone understand what we truly want. Solitude acts as a reset, allowing the waters of our mind to settle, revealing our thoughts, emotions, and inner motivations with greater clarity. The Stoic philosophers understood the power of introspection. To them, solitude was not isolation but a precious opportunity to cultivate wisdom and character. When we step away from the chaos, we can ask ourselves, does what I'm doing truly align with my values? Am I acting rationally or merely reacting to fleeting emotions? When no one is watching, do I still uphold my principles? These are not easy questions, but they hold the key to genuine self-awareness. In a world that glorifies connection, many fear solitude, equating it with sadness or emptiness. But if we cannot find contentment in our own company, how can we expect to find true happiness with others? Silence is not a void to be feared, but a space in which we can listen to ourselves to understand what we truly need, rather than be led by superficial desires. Moreover, solitude serves as a test. It exposes our weaknesses, anxieties, and the parts of ourselves we often mask with busyness. But this is not something to fear. It is an opportunity to strengthen our inner resilience. When no one is watching, do we still live with honesty, patience, and discipline? When free from external judgment, do we still practice kindness and courage? It is in solitude that we can truly measure our character without seeking validation from the outside world. Modern science supports this wisdom. Psychological studies reveal that those who embrace solitude tend to have higher self-awareness, are less influenced by social pressures, and make better decisions. They also experience lower stress levels as they do not feel the constant need to please others. When we learn to appreciate solitude, we stop fearing silence and instead transform it into a source of inner growth. But how can we cultivate this practice in daily life? Start by setting aside time each day to be alone without distractions from phones, work, or external noise. Try journaling to track your thoughts, or simply sit quietly and observe your emotions without running from them. If possible, spend time in nature, a place where the mind naturally settles and focuses on what truly matters. Peace is not something we find outside. It is something we nurture within. When we learn to embrace solitude, we not only understand ourselves better, but also build a strong foundation to face life's uncertainties. Like an ancient tree standing firm against storms, a soul fortified in stillness remains unshaken by life's challenges. So the next time you feel lonely, resist the urge to seek distraction. Instead, see it as an opportunity to look inward, to explore and strengthen yourself. Remember, in silence you may find the answers that the noisy world can never provide. If this message resonated with you or offered a fresh perspective, don't hesitate to hit like. It lets me know that these ideas matter to you. Your support motivates me to continue creating meaningful content. And be sure to subscribe so that whenever I discover something new and thought-provoking, you'll be the first to receive it as a fellow traveler on this journey of knowledge and inspiration. Truth 3. The power of controlling your emotions. According to Stoic philosophy, loneliness is not an inescapable fate or something to be blamed on the outside world. Instead, it is an opportunity to turn inward and discover the hidden strength in our ability to control our thoughts and emotions. This is the third truth that Stoicism offers us, and it is the key to breaking free from the endless cycle of loneliness. When we feel lonely, we often assume that it's because we lack the presence of others. But in reality, loneliness originates within our own minds. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor and philosopher, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." It is our thoughts, not external circumstances, that shape our emotions. If we allow negative thoughts about loneliness to take root, then loneliness itself becomes a force that drains our joy. But if we learn to master and transform these thoughts, we can completely change how we experience and live with solitude. Imagine your mind as a vast field. Your thoughts are the seeds you plant. You can choose to sow seeds of hope and resilience, or you can allow the weeds of sorrow and despair to grow. While you may not control all the seeds that the world throws your way, you always have the power to decide which ones will take root in your mind. People approach loneliness in different ways. Some drown in feelings of emptiness, self-judgment, and regret, while others embrace solitude as an opportunity for self-exploration and inner peace. This isn't a matter of luck, it's a conscious choice. The question is, are you willing to change the way you perceive loneliness rather than allowing it to dictate your emotions and thoughts? Loneliness is an experience that even the most successful, famous, and socially engaged individuals encounter. But the real issue is not whether you feel lonely. It's how you respond to it. Will you let it weigh you down, dragging you into the depths of sorrow and despair? Or will you see it as a necessary pause for reflection and growth? One undeniable truth is that we all face moments of loneliness in life, but how we deal with them defines who we are. Think about the great minds in history, those who encountered solitude but refused to be defeated by it. Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "Great men are like eagles and build their nest on some lofty solitude. It is in solitude that profound ideas are born and groundbreaking creativity emerges." Now consider your own life. What can you do to transform loneliness into an opportunity for learning? Admittedly, this is not easy. In fact, it is often the most uncomfortable emotions that force us to confront aspects of ourselves we would rather ignore. Loneliness has the power to reveal what we truly need, to remind us of the deeper values in life that we may have neglected while being too preoccupied with the outside world. When external distractions fade away, we begin to uncover truths about ourselves that were previously hidden. And according to Stoicism, this self-discovery is one of the greatest strengths we can cultivate. Naturally, when we feel lonely, we are prone to sinking into sadness and disappointment. But Stoicism teaches that these emotions are not something to avoid. Rather, they are something to master. As Seneca once said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. In truth, when we confront these emotions head-on, they are rarely as overwhelming as we feared. It is our fear and anticipation of loneliness that cause the greatest suffering. Take a moment to step back and observe your emotions objectively, and you'll realize that many of them are mere illusions of the mind lacking real substance. So what is the solution? Don't let loneliness control you. Instead, take charge of your thoughts and emotions. Find peace within yourself in moments of quiet, in personal passions, in an afternoon spent listening to music or reading a book. When you shift your perspective, you will see that loneliness is not an enemy but a companion on your journey of self-discovery. And as you embrace this solitude, you will find a deep sense of peace and freedom. One day you will look back and realize that in your solitude you have truly found yourself. Truth 4. Happiness is not dependent on others. Loneliness can be a daunting feeling. When conversations grow sparse, when no one is there to listen, when the night falls and you find yourself alone, an emptiness settles in. A sense of being unmet, adrift in the vastness of this world. But if you believe that your happiness depends on others, then you might be placing yourself in a position more precarious than any storm raging outside. Stoic philosophy teaches an essential truth. Happiness does not depend on others. It resides within you, within your control, within the way you perceive and respond to life. Epictetus once said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." So what is within our control? Our thoughts, our attitude, and how we react to circumstances. Loneliness is not about being abandoned. It's about believing you need someone else to feel whole. If your emotions are dictated by the presence or absence of others, then you are not truly free. You become a prisoner of waiting, of expectations, of fragile relationships. Imagine sitting alone in a cafe surrounded by groups of friends laughing, couples holding hands. Do you feel out of place? Do you find yourself wondering, why don't I have someone to share this moment with? Why do I feel so alone? But pause for a second. Who said the presence of others defines the value of this moment? Why can't you enjoy your own company with a warm cup of coffee, a good book, and your own thoughts? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking." Happiness doesn't come from external validation, from the number of messages you receive in a day, or from grand promises and crowded gatherings. It stems from within, from the way you appreciate the simple, quiet joys of life. You may say, "But humans are social creatures. We need connection." And that's true. But there's a difference between enjoying connection and depending on it for happiness. When you learn to find joy within yourself, you no longer fall into despair when someone leaves, when a door closes, or when you must walk a path alone. Think of those who have lived solitary lives yet shone brilliantly. Thinkers, artists, philosophers. They endured long periods of being misunderstood. Yet it was in solitude that they found their strength, their creativity, their deepest reflections on life. Socrates stood firm in his beliefs even when the entire city of Athens turned against him. Seneca was exiled, yet he found peace within his own mind. They did not let the world dictate their happiness. So why should you? Why should I? How do we overcome loneliness? Start by embracing your own presence. Spend time understanding yourself, discovering the joys you can create on your own. Keep a journal, take solitary walks, learn a new skill, immerse yourself in inspiring books. Let your mind be a trustworthy companion rather than a tormentor filled with negativity. More importantly, view loneliness as an opportunity rather than something to fear. This is your time to grow, to do what you love without the constraints of anyone else. This is your chance to build confidence from within rather than seeking validation from outside. When you become self-sufficient, radiant in your own unique way, true connections will find their way to you, not out of necessity, but out of genuine resonance. One day you might still find yourself sitting alone in that cafe, but instead of feeling lost, you'll smile, knowing that you don't need anyone else to feel complete. You'll listen to the wind, take a sip of coffee, and realize that happiness has never been out of reach. It has always been within you, in the way you perceive life and the inner strength you've cultivated, in your ability to cherish even the simplest moments. So the next time you feel lonely, remember this: you are not lacking, you are not empty, you are whole, and happiness has always been yours to hold. Now, congratulations. We've made it past the halfway point of today's video. That's not something everyone does, so be sure to leave a comment with "Embrace Loneliness" to let me know how dedicated you are. Every part of this video carries an important truth, each piece coming together to help you understand how Stoicism can reshape the way you approach loneliness. So don't stop here. Stay with me until the end to gain practical strategies and clear solutions that will help you turn solitude into an opportunity for self-discovery and growth. Truth 5. Everyone experiences loneliness. Social media has painted a world filled with artificial joy, perfect parties, radiant smiles, romantic love stories. But what it never shows you are the quiet moments, the long nights spent alone, the internal battles that everyone goes through. As you compare your life to the polished versions of others, it's easy to fall into the illusion that you are the only one feeling lonely. But the truth is, everyone experiences loneliness in their own way. Loneliness is simply part of the human experience. No one can go through life without ever feeling alone. No one escapes moments of solitude, but that doesn't mean we are defined by our loneliness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions, than your own soul." There is no place more serene than within your own soul. That means you don't have to run from loneliness. You just need to change the way you see it. Think back to the moments in your life when you were truly alone. Not the times you were forced into loneliness, but the times you chose it. Sitting by the ocean, listening to the waves crash without needing anyone beside you. Riding your bike down an empty road. Feeling the wind rush through your hair. Reading a profound book, completely immersed in your own world. Those moments are not loneliness, they are freedom. Why do we fear loneliness? Because we fear our own thoughts. We fear facing the emptiness inside, the unanswered questions, the emotions we haven't yet named. But instead of seeing that as something terrifying, why not view it as an opportunity? An opportunity to understand ourselves better, to explore the hidden corners of our minds that we usually ignore. Have you ever considered that the first person you need to connect with is yourself? If you cannot find joy in moments of solitude, how can you expect someone else to bring that joy to you? There's a story about Diogenes, the cynic philosopher who chose to live simply in a wooden barrel, owning nothing and attaching himself to no one. One day, Alexander the Great came to him offering to grant any wish he desired. Instead of expressing admiration or a desire for power, Diogenes simply asked Alexander to step aside so that the sunlight would not be blocked. He needed nothing. He did not feel lonely because he was complete within himself. You may not wish to live like Diogenes, but what can you learn from him? You can start by changing the way you view solitude. The next time you sit alone in a cafe, instead of reaching for your phone to kill time, try just sitting still and observing the world around you. Listen to the smallest sounds, the clinking of a spoon against a cup, the soft melody of background music, the muffled conversations of strangers. Feel the warmth of the coffee in your hands. Breathe in its rich aroma. That is not an empty moment. That is a moment worth savoring. The next time you feel lonely on a long evening, step out onto your balcony and look up at the starry sky. Those stars have been there for millions of years, witnessing countless generations of people pass through time. And even though you are alone, you are not abandoned. You are simply a part of this vast universe. Loneliness does not define you. You are not your loneliness. You are the peaceful moments in the midst of chaos. You are the deep ocean, meaningful, even without an audience. You are the vast universe shining in your own way, whether anyone is watching or not. But if loneliness does not define you, what can it become? Instead of seeing it as a void that consumes your soul, why not embrace it as a pause? a moment to reflect on yourself. In this world that is always noisy and rushed, loneliness can be a gift, an opportunity to stop, listen to your inner voice, and discover things that everyday life never reveals. Let's take a step forward and learn how to turn moments of solitude into spaces for reflection and growth. Truth 6. Embrace loneliness as an opportunity for reflection. Imagine yourself lost in a dense forest. At first you hear footsteps, conversations, distractions. Everything pulls you along without a moment to think. But then, suddenly, all the sounds vanish. You stand there alone in absolute silence. Your first instinct might be fear, but if you pause, take a breath, and truly observe, you'll realize this is a rare moment of clarity, a chance to see the path ahead more clearly. Life is the same. We are often swept away by the relentless current of work, relationships, and society's expectations, leaving us with no time to ask, what am I really living for? And solitude, like an unexpected gift, grants us the opportunity to stop and reflect. When all social interactions fade, when the notifications on your phone stop buzzing, you are not abandoned. On the contrary, you are given a rare chance to truly listen to yourself. How many things have you neglected simply because you were too busy chasing external validation? What values have you unknowingly sacrificed in your efforts to please others? Solitude is the most honest test of who you are. When no one is around to judge, to agree, or to disagree, you are left to ask yourself that what do I truly value? We often define ourselves through reputation, career, friendships, or love. But if all of that was stripped away, what remains? This is not an easy question, but it is a necessary one. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Solitude forces you to shed illusions, to look directly at yourself, and to ask the most important question, who do I want to become? Once you recognize your true values, solitude gives you the chance to realign your goals and actions. We spend so much time chasing what society tells us is important: a stable job, an admirable life, a perfect love. But have you ever stopped to ask, is this what I truly desire? Without external influences shaping your thoughts, which path would you choose? This is the moment you are freestyling your goals, to let go of what no longer serves you, and to focus on what truly matters. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want a meaningful life, it cannot be built on impulsive decisions or the expectations of others. It must be grounded in what you truly believe. So how do you turn solitude into a ritual of renewal rather than a state of emptiness? Don't run from it. Instead of drowning in social media or seeking distractions, try spending time with yourself. Write down the thoughts and emotions you have long avoided. Don't shy away from your fears, doubts, or dreams, the ones you've neglected in the chaos of daily life. Perhaps you'll find solace in a book long forgotten on your shelf. A book that holds wisdom and stories capable of changing how you see the world. And sometimes all you need is a walk, a brief journey alone to reconnect with the world around you. Feel each steady step, the gentle caress of the wind, and the rhythm of your own breath. When you allow your mind to wander freely, to expand beyond its usual constraints, you will discover that within solitude, you are not lost. You are found. In the end, solitude is not an ending, it is a beginning. If you learn to embrace it, you will emerge with a clearer mind, a steadier heart, and a stronger sense of purpose. You will no longer fear being alone because in the silence you have found yourself. So, have you ever faced solitude as an opportunity for self-reflection? When loneliness sets in, do you allow yourself to sit in stillness, to peer deep within, and truly understand what is happening inside you? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be the inspiration someone else needs to embrace solitude, not as a burden, but as a gift for self-discovery and inner peace. Truth 7. You are never truly alone. Sometimes you may feel lost in the relentless flow of life, as if you're merely standing on the sidelines, an indistinct shadow in a bustling crowd. There are days when you withdraw into the quiet of your room, staring into the void, wondering, does anyone truly understand me? Does anyone genuinely care? But let me tell you a simple truth. You are not abandoned, not forgotten. You are part of something infinite, and the quiet presence of the universe has always been with you. Even when you couldn't feel it, you have merely forgotten how to see the invisible threads that connect you to everything around you. Close your eyes for a moment, and imagine you are standing beneath the night sky with millions of stars gleaming above. Each star you see has existed for millions of years before you were born and will continue to shine millions of years after you are gone. You may feel small, but that does not mean you are insignificant. You are a part of this grand existence. Like a wave in the ocean, like a leaf on a tree, like a note in a magnificent symphony. And the most astonishing truth, you are not just a part of the universe. You are the universe. Your body is composed of elements that once belonged to ancient stars. The light you see today has traveled across space for millions of years before reaching your eyes. We are not separate. We are woven together, intertwined in the infinite stream of life. When loneliness creeps in, step outside. Let the wind tousle your hair. Let the sunlight warm your skin. Let the morning birds whisper to you that you are not forgotten. Nature has never abandoned you. A tree does not need an audience to grow. A river does not need encouragement to keep flowing. And neither do you. You do not need external validation to prove your existence. You are here. You are alive. You are breathing. And that is enough. Try spending a day simply observing. Look at the sky, the petals of a flower, the streets you pass by daily. Suddenly the world will appear different. You will realize that while people may drift apart, nature has never forsaken you. Do you know even when you are alone, you do not have to wander through your thoughts like a lost traveler. You can always connect with the greatest minds in history. Open a book. Read the reflections of those who lived centuries before you. Those who too faced loneliness, doubt, and loss. When you read, you converse with them. When you think, you continue the legacy of profound ideas that have transcended generations. You do not need another person to have a deep conversation. You can speak with yourself, ask questions, and uncover answers within your own mind. You are a continuous flow of knowledge, experience, and growth. You do not have to fear silence, for within it, there is an entire world waiting for you to explore. Above all, the most important thing to remember is this: you always have yourself. If you feel lonely, do not seek someone else to fill the emptiness. Instead, learn to become your own best friend. Learn to sit with yourself without distractions, to love yourself without seeking approval from the outside world. You can be your own refuge. You can be the best listener to your thoughts. You can find joy, peace, and strength from within. If only you pause and listen. So if today you feel lonely, remember this: you are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are an irreplaceable part of this world, always eternally. And once you truly realize this, loneliness will be nothing more than an illusion, a fleeting mist that vanishes as the light of connection illuminates your soul. We've just explored 7 powerful Stoic truths about loneliness. Lessons that don't just help you accept solitude, but allow you to transform it into a source of strength. Loneliness is not your enemy. It's a guide, an invitation to connect more deeply with yourself, with wisdom, with nature, and with the vast world around you. When you stop resisting and start embracing it, you'll realize that you were never truly alone. You just needed to shift your perspective. And when that shift happens, loneliness no longer feels like a burden. It becomes an essential part of your journey toward growth and self-mastery. If you found this video valuable but haven't hit the like button yet, take a second to do so. It lets me know that this kind of content truly resonates. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts on this topic. Or simply let me know what insight spoke to you the most. And don't forget to share this video with someone who might need to hear this today, because sometimes a new perspective is all it takes to change someone's life. Most importantly, make sure to subscribe, because there's so much more great content coming your way. See you in the next video.